When I think of fear in a political context, I always remember a banner that hung in Jonah House in the living room, which Jonah was a resistance community in Baltimore, anchored by Elizabeth McAllister and Philip Berrigan. And the banner said, to keep one another's courage up, the greatest apostolic duty. Which I think sets fear and courage in very much in a community context. Um, I'm thinking back to the action communities of the 60s and 80s and beyond, which people would make a uh, commitment to one another for a period of time, often as much as a year, and meet in for retreats that included life sharing, study together, prayer, and one of the practices that uh, some of the communities employed was confessing your fears in community. And this is very different than indulging your fears and combining them and ramping them up into some sort of crescendo, which I know does happen with people feeding one another's fears. But this was kind of the opposite. Confessing your fears in community, um, often as not, well, I won't say that. Sometimes, maybe not often, but sometimes the very fact of naming a fear turned out the thing you were afraid of was the thing you were actually being called to do. So that keeping fears inside meant you were ruled, could be ruled by them, silenced by them. Your fears ended up in the service of the oppressing powers, but confessed in community, named in community, and brought into the light, they could actually be in the service of community building, of course, and vulnerability to one another, um, but also they could be in the service of conscience and the spirit. Uh, let's call it the Holy Spirit of resistance.